everyone, it's me, Krista. Welcome back to my channel if you've been here before. If not, welcome for the very first time to my little art corner here on YouTube. Today we are going to be playing around with all of those fine liners that came in the February 2020 Premium SketchBox. As you can see, I started out with a sketch that I did last night. Here's a better look at that. I wanted to do something that definitely used the shapes that came with that ISO sketch so I could actually use it. A lot of that was with the sketching process, and then I traced some of it using the light from my window this morning in order to get as many of the shapes as I could correct, and I also had to redraw. With the final project, I am using a 7H pencil just so that it doesn't interfere with the marker too darn much. And I'm really sorry about the long shadows on this one. I didn't really notice while I was recording, but looking back on the footage I do. There are larger windows in this room than I'm used to for recording. Also, my desk lamp isn't here yet, and my little tripod isn't quite ready yet. So I'm kind of winging it. This is the setup I have right now. I have the camera mounted to a toolbox on top of a little stepping stool, and I end up pulling in a lamp from another room. It's just going to be some trial and error until I figure out exactly the best way to do this. And some of the footage is missing because, believe it or not, as you just saw there, some of the shadows were even worse than what I left in. At least here you can kind of figure out what's going on. I started with doing the flame outline using the various yellow markers and then went in with the orange. My goal with this was to use as many of the markers as possible. I didn't really use any of the more fleshy, the pinky flesh tone colors as much, and I barely used the Staedtler brown marker in this. It is a whole heck of a lot of fine liners to use on one piece, but I tried to use as many as I could. As you can see, I'm playing around a lot with different lines of colors and going over and just doing some messy cross-hatching and line work. Doing this reminded me a lot of being in middle school and high school and doing different little doodles in a notebook with different colored pens and highlighters. That kind of throwback's always fun. This nostalgia hits hard. Right here I'm using a dark teal color over the orange because it makes it look almost black. They are complementary colors. Therefore, when mixed together, it makes a nice neutral, and it can make it look like a really deep dark gray, brown, or black. I do end up using the chameleon fine liners. I do not use them the way they are intended to be used, where you switch the caps around so the ink mixes with each other and it does a transition from one color into another. When I was testing them out, I found it too difficult to control. Seems like a fun gimmick. It would be cute for calligraphy and some other projects like that. I just don't have the patience for learning the timing on it, and this way I have a little bit better control over how they work. They also didn't seem to be quite as pigmented as the SketchBox Signature fine liners are, and I noticed they seem to dry up a little more quickly, but if you store them with the cap facing up, all the ink is in that cap, so it should saturate it again. At this part of the drawing, I am moving towards the inside sections, specifically starting with the eyes. I decided to use the pinks and reds in the eye areas, and for the pupils, I started with the Tombow Fudanesque in purple, and I ended up using the Alvin Tech Liner in black later to help it stick out a little bit better. With the exception of the little fire area, I do end up going over everything with the Alvin Tech Liner in black again over the colors I already did to help differentiate the different sections of colors a little bit better. I didn't use it on the little flame background because I wanted it to fall behind our little eyeball planchette we have going on. Pulled in yellow and later pull in a little bit of orange on the little crescent moon designs I have and the circles in the middle there. For the whites of the eyes, I used the palest pink, which I believe is the chameleon liner. I don't have the color codes in front of me, and even if I did, I would have difficulty probably trying to figure out what marker I'm using at what time and matching it up. For the pupils, I used the darker pinks, some reds, and I start pulling in some purples as well. At this point, I'm kind of trying to figure out what colors go where, and I start with the lightest blue, and then I will slowly build on that using different blues or greens to differentiate the different sections even more. Even though I'm using as many colors as I can, I'm also trying to use them on top of each other, do little lines, and have them make different colors and blend them out. I am also trying to keep it from looking too insane with the amount of colors going on. I mean, it still looks fairly psychedelic and bright, but it could have been more so. I could have just gone full rainbow with it. I had a vague understanding of what colors I wanted where, and some of that did change as I was getting into this a little bit more. I wanted the little shapes within the planchette to be distinctive enough from each other to where you can see different elements coming together. I specifically wanted the reds and pinks in the eyes because that brings them out more against the cooler background. Same with the yellows on the inside of the planchette. I wanted those little elements to pop up against the cooler tones around them. It was really interesting doing this project and doing it with just fine liners. I had to think a little bit more about how they would layer over each other and what kind of textures I wanted to bring in and how rough did I actually want that sketchiness to be. Because I'm sure I could have done this very smoothly. It would have just been more difficult, and I do enjoy the very sketchy, rough texture that's going on here. And with the liners, I did typically start with the lightest color I wanted in that area and just gradually build over it with more lines in different directions and different colors. As I mentioned earlier, I did not use the fleshier tones, the pinker flesh tones, nearly in this at all. I think there were a couple spots where I tried to pull it in and decided it just wouldn't work. And that brown is barely in here at all. Also, another thing that is in here a tiny bit, but not much, is the Tombow Fudanesque in gray. I did use the purple to help accentuate certain lines because it's a thicker marker, and you can get a lot of different various widths with that one. As I said in the previous video, I've enjoyed using the Tombow Fudanesque markers before, and I'm very happy to have a couple more colors. I just like how they apply. And let's talk a little bit more about the stuff inside this box for a minute and my feelings on it. I like the fact that there are a lot of markers in here. I kind of wish it wasn't just fine liners though. Even having a blending marker or something like that would have been very nice in this set here. I really like the SketchBox Signature Fine Liners. I feel that the colors that came in this set are going to be very helpful for a lot of different projects I'm going to do in the future. They will definitely be added to my normal rotation. I'm also especially happy because I got rid of some very not so great fine liners that I had in a variety of colors. Those were the Arteza, however you say it, fine liners. The nibs on the Arteza ones just fell apart pretty quickly on me, and they were pretty useless. These fine liners are a definite upgrade comparatively. The Chameleon fine liners were fine. I prefer the SketchBox ones. The pigmentation just wasn't that great comparatively, but they're still an okay liner. The Tombow Fudanesque ones, love the pigmentation, love the versatility. The Staedtler pigment liner in brown, like I said, I didn't really get to use it on this project, but for swatches, it looked like it worked fairly well. I just know for me, I'm probably not going to use a brown liner very often. I know a lot of people use them for lining people as a softer line than a black line. I might try that in the future. I just don't use browns a lot in general. I'm more of a bunch of bright colors kind of person, in case you can't tell. The Alvin Tech liner in black worked fairly well. Nice liner. No complaints about it. The Drawing Tool Company's ISO sketch, you didn't really get to see me use it a lot in this video, but I definitely used it for setting up the sketch that you see on the right there. It was pretty cool. I'll probably use this for ovals in the future and some quick little short lines and getting some triangles in. Overall, pretty fun project and some interesting art supplies. I'm just excited to be back taping and creating stuff again for sure. As you can see here, this project is almost finished. Just throwing in a couple more final touches. If you liked this video, please hit that like button. If you have any comments, questions, feelings, or concerns, or if you've used any of the items in this box, or if you've used any kind of chameleon markers, not even just the fine liner ones, but their other ones. I'm curious to know. Let me know anything like that in that comment section down below. If you want to see more videos like this, please feel free to subscribe. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day or night to watch this video and listen to me ramble about art stuff. I greatly appreciate it. I look forward to hearing from you guys soon, and you'll definitely be hearing from me soon. Bye, everybody!